Out for now!
Hey up. Right, so, you might wonder what on earth's come on stage in front of you right now. To be fair, AI doesn't know either. I put a photograph of myself on one of those AI tools. What is your gender? It came back with the phrase, humans only, please. I'm like, have I become some kind of like big bad envy boss or something? Who would have thought? What would 17-year-old me have thought of that? Thing is, as it turns out, I am what is known as a AAA battery. Asexual, aromantic, and agender. And ADHD. None of these words existed when I was a teenager, at least not in popular culture. But as always with hindsight, the clues were there. So important context, this was the 1990s, the era of ladettes, of magazines like Loaded and FHM, and whatever the opposite of purity culture was. I was raised... No, that's not quite true. That gives my family too much credit. Let's say I was left to grow as a boy, with none of the direction that would entail. I thus went through my teenage years believing that I should be finding girls attractive and dating them, and that this would be easy, because that's what the magazines said. This did not happen. Despite amassing upwards of 50 pen pals, 50 pen pals, you can imagine how much that cost, even at 22p a stack, 50 pen pals at a time, almost all of whom were girls. And they liked writing to me. And it turns out, because they could see I was some kind of AAA battery, so they could dump all of their relationship lines onto me. So, I went through my pen pal letters, because I've still got them. It's interesting. Let's start with asexuality. Asexuality, in case you don't know, is where people generally don't find other people sexually attractive. Kind of like pansexuality, just not very good at it. Or overly picky. So, 26th of May, 1994, a letter to Douglas, a chap I went to school with. So, Sean has a boyfriend. No, doesn't surprise me, because I can see that a lot of people could find her amazingly beautiful and attractive. However, not me. This has surprised a lot of people here at university when I tell them that I'm not interested in sex or beautiful women. At that point, it didn't occur to me to be interested in beautiful men either. 26th of August, 95, letter to Mandy. You may be glad to hear I know nothing about fantastic snobs with gorgeous guys. You may, however, be saddened to learn that nor do I know about fantastic snobs with gorgeous girls, or any girls for that matter.
Oh.
Or indeed, anybody at all.
Oh.
3rd of March, 95, letter to Kylie. No picture at the top of this letter, I'm afraid. Incidentally, pictures of women's cleavage do not interest me particularly. I find them rather dull. In fact, it seems that I had issues with the whole concept of sex. So I wrote to my French pen pal. We'll come back to her later. 12th of February 1996, letter to Law. To me, there are no romantic feelings in sex. It's just something to do. An optional extra to love. I mean, when I have discussion with friends and pen pals, this attitude is apparently somewhat unusual. This is the main reason why I'm not too keen on sex. It's not important. I can live and love without it. This is perhaps another reason I feel so much for Catherine. She doesn't find sex important either. I'd rather not have to worry about it. This leads us on quite nicely to the second A, aromanticism. This is where someone experiences little to no romantic attraction, whatever that means. 24th of March, 96, letter to Law. In English, to make love means the same as to have sex. The phrases are interchangeable. Neither is particularly appealing to me. To have sex sounds too blunt, too physical. It's similar to why I don't like the idea of sex itself. As to make love, I'm just cynical. If you love someone, you shouldn't have to make love to show it.
Oh.
People who make love are merely having sex, just hiding it under the false premise of love.
Oh.
How pretentious is that? As you might imagine, my teenage experiences with sex and dating were about as bland as a chicken korma, and nowhere near as creamy. I had my first girlfriend at the age of 19-ish. She herself was a pen pal who lived, I could walk there in an hour and a half. One of the... Why? One of the initial reasons for amassing so many pen pals was indeed as a way to find a relationship. Turns out, what I actually wanted was an in-person friendship, not a physical relationship. Letter to Yelena, 14th of January, 95. Tuesday night, I saw her again. She stayed the night at my house. So we stayed up until a ridiculous hour watching music television and got up late. She actually spent the night in my bed. Unfortunately, so did I. And to celebrate the occasion, I even took my sweatshirt off. The mind boggled. Nothing happened. Well, we kissed and hugged a bit, but nothing else. Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, that at the time I was anti-sex. Far from it. I've always been sexual, I've always been kinky. There's quite a lot in my pen pal letters about all of that. That is beyond the scope of this reading. I will come back to that in another session. Where it did mostly come out, to coin a phrase, was in my writings. I wrote stories and I wrote poems. Many of them were sexual and romantic. If I wasn't the one writing them, I just didn't want anything to do with it. 3rd of December 95, letter to Kim. Yes, I hate soppy films and soppy books, but that doesn't stop me from writing them. I write stories, usually love stories. I hate watching love stories on TV or in films because I find them too yucky. As for the third A, agenda. I mean, this content literally was not on my radar in my teenage years. I mean, even trans was seen as quite limited in scope. It was, mainly in pop culture, overly camp old men and pop stars. However, it's interesting to see that even then I was talking about gender identity in limited ways. But let's start off with a clearer in hindsight moment. 16th of June 96, letter to Maria. Well, it's the middle of June now, and we seem to be in another long, hot, depressive summer. The weather's got quite warm already, 77 to 80 Fahrenheit. But I'm still wearing sweatshirts. I nearly always wear a jumper or a sweatshirt, even in the middle of summer. I only take it off if it's very hot outside and I'm doing more than a short walk to the shop, etc. Plus, you will never, ever see me in a pair of shorts, which is probably a blessing, but never to mind.
Hey!
As a teenager, I loved wearing baggy clothing, hoodies, long trousers, loose t-shirts, etc., even in summer. My parents even commented one hot summer holiday in Ireland. It happens, we had a hot summer in Ireland when I was 14. Obviously, this was the fashion at the time, It was Manchester, it was all hippie, it was all sort of, baggy clothing and what have you. As it turns out, in conversation with my therapist over the last few years, I wasn't wearing all of that stuff for the fashion. No, I was wearing it to hide myself because I didn't like the body I was given. It was too gnarled, too lanky. I never liked my legs, only wearing shorts when I was a cross-country runner, so I had to. That was about the only time. Now, in recent years, my friends have said that they like my legs and that they're jealous of them. ChatGPT, by the way, says I look good in skirts and dresses and I should wear them more.
Hey!
Personally, I think ChatGPT is a bit of a perv. But it goes to show I was never comfortable with how my body looked and that I didn't feel particularly mannish. But did I feel womanish instead? 3rd of April 95, letter to Arnu. The person I'd most love to be. Well, this may surprise you. 4 paragraphs ago, I mentioned a girl called Sarah. The one I fancied. Well, I'd like to be her. If I die, I'd like to come back as her. I'm not too sure why. In general, I'd like to be a woman and see what it's like on the other side of the gender fence. This may sound strange, but that's just what I feel. I wouldn't particularly like to be anyone famous. Indeed, onto a different topic, there has never been one famous woman that I've ever found attractive that I've ever wanted to have their poster on my wall. In fact, when I was a teenager, the posters on my wall were generally of music bands in general, because I liked their music. Not because I thought the Stone Roses were hot, because they're objectively not. Album covers and maps. Autism. I briefly shared a room at uni with the chap who had that, the famous tennis girl pose, where she's standing like that. I did not like that. I just thought it was a bit cliche. The last thing I'm going to say is a thing I wrote to my French pen pal, Laure, with whom I had a remarkable connection, felt very open and honest with, and who was incredibly insightful back. The 3rd of December, 95. You comment upon my femininity. Well, I've often thought about it, and I will admit I seem to have more in common with girls than I do with boys. I have to admit that most of my closest friends through life have been girls. This does lead to one slight problem, as I usually end up falling in love with them, and then I usually lose their friendship. I'm sure I could quite easily be a girl, and if I was, I'd be a lesbian.
Yay!
You can make of that what you will. But me and Laure did end up getting engaged, despite my suppressed asexuality and my gender feels. Obviously, it didn't last, mainly because of my suppressed asexuality, my gender feels, and the fact that she was, shall we say, stereotypically French. To be fair, if we'd have lasted together, it would probably have ended up as swingers. And that's all I have to say. Woo!